today's project, we are going to be using Meteorite to add into this yellow gold bracelet. So here you can see we have a chunk of Meteorite that we've laser engraved and cut into small little sections. And then we've cut those into individual pieces. We are going to inlay these individual pieces into each bracelet link. Here we're using different abrasive wheels to cut and shape the Meteorite chunks so they fit exactly into each link. The perfect bracelet requires a perfect fit, just like that. A cool thing about iron meteorite is we can actually solder it directly to the gold. So here you'll see we're using a filling solder and a torch, and we are soldering it right into the links so that they'll never come out. Then we sand them nice and flush to the top of the gold. Projects like these take a lot of time because we have to be very meticulous that each piece fits exactly perfect next to the next one. What you're seeing here is called a casting tree, and this is how we cast each individual link of the bracelet. After it's cast, we use this cutoff wheel or a jeweler's saw to cut each link off in preparation for the final bracelet. After filing and sanding the top of the Meteorite flush to the gold, we're going to use this tool that's called a graver, which is going to allow us to cut a nice border between the gold and the Meteorite so that when we go to etch the Meteorite, there's a nice contrast between the two pieces of metal. Small details like this are sometimes hard to see from the naked eye, but when you have a lot of the components in the links put together, it really makes a difference on the overall aesthetic of the piece. Here we're using another type of graver that's a flat graver to create a chamfer on that outside edge, a nice little bevel that's going to make those links look really nice and crisp. Next, we're going to fit each link next to each other so that there are no gaps and so that they sit nice and flush so that the overall bracelet looks nice and clean. This bracelet uses a hinge system to connect the links. Instead of Meteorite, some of the links are going to have Asscher Cut Diamonds set into them. Here you see we're using a small ball burr to carefully remove the metal so that the diamonds fit just perfect. Once we get that perfect fit, we're going to use a small pneumatic handpiece and hammer to actually mold the metal right over the top of the stone. Because diamonds are so hard, it is very difficult to chip the stones. And as you can see here, the gold actually moves just like butter underneath this hammer handpiece. Once the diamonds are completely set underneath the metal, we have to clean up all those tool marks that we made using the hammer handpiece. So here you see we're using a graver to scribe the inside line and make a nice crisp border between the metal and the diamond. We also use different abrasives and files and polishing wheels to clean up the top of the metal as well. As a jeweler, this is honestly one of my favorite parts of stone settings, is this final cleanup, because you really see how the stone starts to pop in the setting and everything just really comes together in a really clean way. Here we're gonna add some more borders between another section of the bracelet that has meteorite in the gold sections. After we finish that, we are going to set what are called melee diamonds. These are diamonds that are really small. So in this particular case, they are 1 millimeter in diameter. So here you can see we're prepping the seats for the diamonds, cutting holes and removing metal that is then going to form the prongs that hold those diamonds in place. After the seats are set and ready, we push the diamonds down into the seats, and then we're going to use small beading tools to actually form little balls of metal that are going to create the prongs that hold the diamonds in place. As you can see here, we are actually forming the metal using this beading tool, and if done properly, those diamonds will never come out. Sometimes when we're cleaning up a final project, we have to make custom tools. This particular bracelet has some small, hard to reach areas, and we don't want to damage the surrounding areas, so we're creating this little custom burr. Only the top part of it has cutting facets that we're going to use to remove metal in this small, hard to reach area where we created those pins for the hinges. Making fine jewelry isn't always a straightforward thing. Sometimes we have to think outside of the box and create different tools or fixtures or things that are going to help us create the piece that we're working on. Sometimes we might only use that tool just once for that one project, but we have to do that in order to make the piece look exactly perfect. So here you see where we welded those pins into the hinges. We're left with a little bit of metal sticking over the top. So this tool allows us to remove that metal cleanly without marring the metal around it. Then we'll come back in later with some small rubber wheels and polishing discs to give it that final polish. And there you have it. The first part of this bracelet is complete. Next, we are going to etch the meteorite and give it a final polish, and it is going to look fabulous. Now that we have our bracelet all finished in these 3 different sections, and all the meteorite sections are all nice and polished and clean, we are going to soak them in a special acid bath. This acid bath is comprised of nitric acid and alcohol. And what happens is the nitric acid eats away at certain parts of the meteorite and causes those Widmanstätten patterns to start to appear very slowly. Because the meteorite is comprised of different alloys of iron, you can see those patterns very, very distinctly. And only actual meteorite will have these patterns. No other material on Earth or elsewhere can mimic this same patterning. And there you have it, folks. The bracelet is all assembled, all polished. You can see that very cool patterning in the meteorite, the shine on those diamonds. This piece is truly one of a kind. We even added this very cool safety mechanism on the clasp so that the bracelet will never fall off. This is truly the most satisfying part of any project, is seeing all these tiny little details come together so perfectly. That's the cool thing about being a jeweler. You get to see this whole process from start to finish and really appreciate all the little details that go into a project like this. Thanks for following along, and if you really like this video, please click on the next video above and see how we make a matching Asscher Cut diamond ring. See you next time.